Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities. We'll work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. Obviously, I'm going to interject my financial opinions through here. And if you guys need any help, check out finding-value.com. Use the word discount in the coupon code if you'd like to see what my portfolio is and the companies that I'm buying for this commodity bull market. So let's dive in. Let's start with the dollar here. So the DXY, we were slightly lower today, basically sideways. And we've been going back and forth, the buyers and sellers here. Strong selling pressure day there, strong buying, and we've got lots of resistance where all these wicks are hitting up and getting sold off. So we'll see where we go from here. It's kind of a difficult read as we've got a large down candlestick. I mean, it's basically going back and forth. We also have yields going back and forth. I don't know if the market has determined which direction it wants to go. So looking at yields, and remember, the DXY is tied in with yields. Strength of yields is strength of dollar. So the 2-year yield, slightly lower today. We've got a large buying pressure day yesterday. This still looks like it could potentially head higher. I wouldn't say that's a reversal candlestick today. But big picture view, guys, and this is where it's difficult. Are we going to head lower back to this kind of breakout area? What that would signal is higher precious metals prices. It would signal weakness in the market. It could be a slowdown. It could be recession if it were to come back down. Now, looking at the candlesticks, the past few trading sessions, this doesn't look like it wants to go back down. It looks like it wants to continue higher. So looking at that from a weekly perspective, looks like it wants to go higher. The dailies, it still looks like it wants to go higher. So that's the weird thing. We don't know the direction necessarily of yields here in the short term. And that's what I'm going to watch. We don't have a clear break yet, and we definitely don't look like we're just going to fall off a cliff and head lower. So the recession camp, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but on the other hand, we haven't broken out to the upside either. So we're kind of in no man's land in terms of yields. The DXY is probably going to go sideways until it determines where we're going to go. And precious metals and oil and all these different commodities that trade off of these signals are being whipsawed back and forth. So the 10-year yield, again, we gapped higher in the morning, but momentum is coming back down. Bigger picture view, we're still in this channel here right above support. So it still looks okay to go higher. And then the 30-year yield, it's broken out of its little pattern here to the upside. And on the daily here, it doesn't look too bad to work its way and grind on higher. Moving up and having the curve invert is not good for precious metals necessarily. I would say it's just fine for oil. So when we get to those commodities, let's see where those commodities could potentially go. And that could also give us insight on where yields could go. And remember, yields price assets across the board. That's why it's so important to understand this. TYX TNX ratio, it does look like it's trying to firm up here. That could be positive for gold to take off. We're at a very low level of this ratio. And if we head higher, I definitely think precious metals are going to be the spot to beat. The question is, are we going to head higher? And in the short term, I still think we could head lower based off the weekly candlesticks. And on the dailies, I mean, it looks like it might try to move higher. We'll see if we can put a bottom in here. But again, we're conflicted on different time frames on which direction this is going to go. But we are at a very low level compared to history. And that generally is a good time to be looking at precious metals. Bond prices, we came up and we hit our head on this resistance line, and we could still head lower here, which means higher yields. Now we zoom in, and that could be the case. We hit our head right here on that resistance line. We've been coming on back, and we'll see if we come on back. I'm not in the camp to jump to either conclusion right now because on different time frames, we could go either higher or lower, and the curve's going to move all over the place. I think the market's trying to figure out where it wants to go in the short term. Gold ended up higher today, about $14, and we were right above this resistance support level. We broke through it when it was acting as resistance, and we're coming back and doing a retest. To me, gold looks very good to go higher. That also makes me think that yields could drop for a period of time. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about things, and it still looks good here for a potential move higher, hopefully. Silver slightly lower, but that still looks good to move on up. You can see the wick at the bottom, and it's 2 down days in relationship to the 1 up day, so that definitely looks like it wants to move on up. Platinum, it juiced it a little bit today, up $26, 2.6%. But that also looks really good on a long-term perspective to, I think, work its way on up. That would signal, if we're going to go higher in gold, silver, and platinum, that would signal that yields could potentially uninvert and go lower, which could be the case. XAU to gold ratio slightly lower today, down 0.75. And we've tracked back, but again, we gotta beat this resistance line and get up above that thing. If we get above that and we see yields start to fall, that combination would give me a lot of confidence to really boost the gold and silver mining companies. I'm already in them, but I could add more. I could go find some crazy silver junior companies and up my stakes in it or something. But we just need to break this downtrend, guys. That's what we're looking for, a break of that downtrend, get up above it. The CRB index, basically sideways today for the most part. So we've been just moving sideways in the CRB index. CRB to S&P 500 slightly higher, but we're definitely still in a downtrend. GDX, a little bit higher today, 0.5%. Again, we're within this pattern, this big kind of channel. GDX has just been moving sideways as well, up 0.8%, and SILJ moving sideways, still within the patterns. We're waiting for a clear direction, I think, for yields, and gold sitting on top of its pattern. Gold looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm just waiting to get positive signals from these gold and silver mining companies and gold to start moving and to see those yields drop. If we can get that alignment to happen, we know where we want to be. But right now, we've got gold set up very well, but yields, I think, they're split on the time frames. We've got the long end of the curve going up and the short end going all over the place. Crude oil, it started off really strong, but ended quite weak today. So I do think that this could potentially head lower with that reversal throughout the day. We also saw some weakness in the companies themselves. Natural gas looking quite strong, up 4.5%, and looking like it's trying to put in some sort of bottom. It's basing out. XOP, yeah, you know me, this does look like we could reverse lower for a short period of time. We came up against the resistance line, and we definitely sold off. And we've got a bearish piercing pattern where we could head lower in the short term. It does not mean that we're just going to go crashing. It just means shorter term, we're going to go down, I think. OIH exhibiting the same pattern, and it does look like we could go down in the short term. We want to look to see how this comes back. Are we going to get small little candlesticks where I think it's going to set up for a larger move on up? Or are we really going to accelerate the sell-off and get big, fat down candlesticks where we blow out to the downside? Let's wait and see. I don't know which one will be the case. The Sprott-Physical Uranium Trust still holding up strong. We still got good resistance there. That's what the wicks are at the top. That big resistance line going across is what we want to break. 1815 is where we want to break and hold above that level. Come back up there and move. Uranium up 1.42%. It does look fantastic. It looks like we're breaking out and we're getting some more buying pressure up here. Very, very positive. So uranium looks really strong, probably the strongest sector of all the commodities that I follow. And URNJ also thrown in a pretty good up day, 1.7%. Not like the 10% down or up day there, but this can accelerate, guys. If we start breaking away from these resistance levels that are kind of dragging us back, we could see an accelerated move if we can break away. We haven't broken away yet, so just patience. TAN still moving sideways, but still looks favorable for a move higher. Well, I'll say this. It's confusing. We've got some stronger selling pressure here, and it's just kind of bouncing sideways. We'll see where it goes. COPX, let's do the dailies. Man, these things are they're just chopping sideways. So some people would say that this is kind of a shoulder, head, shoulder with a weird neckline. Not really. Looks like we're just bouncing sideways. We don't really have a clear direction. We've got buying and selling pressure, big selling pressure, some buying pressure, and then the candlesticks are all evenly matched. So we're going back and forth, battle between buyers and sellers. I also think that's why yields are confused and copper's confused. I think there's a lot of sectors and a lot of the market is confused at the moment and doesn't know which direction to go. We've got split readings across the board for a variety of different metrics. You can look at metrics like unemployment that still looks good. Construction jobs are increasing. The real estate market, it's not collapsing, but it's not really going gangbusters. It's like we're just in kind of this slowdown period, but we're not really crashing. It's a slow motion slowdown. And we've been bouncing sideways for a while. Lithium's doing the same thing. It's just consolidating, and we're just waiting to see if this is going to break to the upside, which I think it will, which will lead to another big up move. REMX is in the same situation as lithium. We're right underneath the resistance line that we're trying to break out of. We've got the S&P 500. Still looks good to go higher. I don't see much selling pressure up here. And it still looks all right until we get that selling pressure. The path of least resistance is higher. NASDAQ's the same thing. Path of least resistance until we see a reversal candlestick. Emerging markets, sideways, but still looks good. We've got good resistance through here. You can see all the buying and selling through here. But we're just waiting for a move on up, and I think that will happen with a declining dollar and declining interest rates are going to put this to the upside, I think. XHB, the housing market, small little down day, still looks good to go higher with this large buying pressure a couple of days before it. MOO, I mean, we've got a good dig out of here. That still looks like it could go higher in the short term. So that's looking good. Copper, the actual price coming back up to resistance level. There's that resistance line that we've traded multiple times through here. And we're just getting stuck in this area where we've got lots of resistance. Iron ore, it is firming up a little bit, and I do think this will go higher. So that looks better, which, it's a base metal. Nickel also moving higher, up 2%, looking a little bit better. Aluminum down 1.13%. We've got the breakout, and it's kind of doing a little back test right now. We've got the Baltic Dry Index that is slightly lower, 2%, and looks like we're just coming to do a full retest down here. Newcastle coal putting in up a little bit. Can't really see it there, but I think we could get down to 110, 115, somewhere in that range, and base out here. Ethereum down much stronger than before. Nice little selling pressure, little wick at the bottom. We do have a lot of support right where it's at. Bitcoin doing the same thing. We do have support where it's at. But it is stronger selling pressure, where we could see this dive down if the selling pressure starts to accelerate. So right now, we're kind of just moving back and forth, guys. It's in an undecisive state. There's no clear direction. We've got leading indicators that are kind of split all over the place. And maybe we are turning here. Maybe we do have a slowdown that's coming. It's hard to say. Can't really make predictions, especially when things are kind of, it's easy to find a trend, ride the trend. But right now, there's no clear trend. We're just kind of bouncing back and forth with yields. Short term looks like it wants to kind of come down a little bit. Longer term, we've broken to the upside. So I highly doubt we're going to do this, but we'll see. Usually the whole curve it accelerates when it goes up like this. This is the short end. And then it comes down like this, and the long end kind of just slowly moves. But right now, that's where we're at. And, precious metals are positioned quite well. I think they look good to move on up. Now we just need the other part of the market conditions to basically align with where it's at. And then we get the rocket ship move. But right now, since the yields are indecisive, and it's almost like the algorithms are written off of the yield curve, where things move on the yield curve is where assets and money starts to flow. It's almost like that's the case. But yeah, right now it's undecisive. And we'll see where it goes over the next few weeks. And maybe it takes months for this to decide where it wants to go. But if you guys like the content, give me a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website, and we'll catch you guys later. This is Finding Value.